All right, so again, just introduce myself. My name is David Settlemyer, Director of Engineering here at Blue Ridge Analytics. We are the creators of SITEOPS. I'm going to take just two or three, about a minute or two, and do a couple slides just to get, for ones who haven't seen SITEOPS, especially into the mindset of what exactly it is. Because one thing I want you to understand, this is not CAD. Okay? Autodesk, Bentley, those kind of people have fantastic. I'm a Power Civil 3D user. Absolutely love the tool. It does everything I need. The only thing it doesn't do is help me do my conceptual designs faster. They were just talking about trying to do a subdivision, 40 lots should not take a couple days to come up with some ideas. And you'll see in SITEOPS that literally could be within just a couple minutes. The main reason we came around is because these are fantastic tools, but they can't do everything. And we can't expect them to do everything. So we're looking to the advancement of cloud-based technology, parametrics, advanced mathematics, and that's what you'll see inside SITEOPS. We use parametric properties along with genetic algorithms to create a parking lot in less than a second and grade it in less than 30. So that's the kind of things we're going to play with as we go through. Just a real quick overview of what is SITEOPS. It's its ability to create and revise things on the fly in front of clients. A lot of our users will do this. Get their input right there in front of them, and then that's the one I'm going to go forward with. Generate grading and stormwater plans to look at project feasibility. So that's ultimately what the client wants is to know, is the project doable or not? If it is, what does it look like and what is it going to make? And then also one thing SITEOPS is going to do is look at least expensive ways to meet constraints. Parking lot can be graded 1 to 4%. Our job as designers is to sit down and spend enough time to figure out what is it, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5%, what's the best to make the site work for cut and fill and retaining walls and all other kind of things. SITEOPS does the same thing, but with those parametric properties, we can do it with that. And the most important part is delivers options in the upfront stage. And I'll just get through this slide. But the main difference is this is static versus dynamic. And the biggest thing is we're going to get to the same goal, which is a DWG file in the back end that you can take into your CAD programs and label and start going through further construction design detailing projects. But the upfront part is a little different. We're still going to acquire data, and I'll show you that. No matter if you use Civil 3D or use SITEOPS, you have to acquire some data to start with the project. But then we will develop site plans. And in this CAD world, you're more 2D. In SITEOPS, you're 2D and 3D, and I'll explain that, how you go through that, how it's going to be actually a lot simpler than you're doing 2D in CAD now. And then when you revise something, you're in CAD, if I was to change the parking lot, that's fine, I change it. I spend my time, I revise the way it looks and how it functions. In SITEOPS, you do the exact same thing, but the only difference is you'll do it in 3D. But the easy part is we're going to make it an easy, simple 2D feel, but get a 3D result, grading, cost, stormwater, those kind of things. And then ultimately, we want to get down to a final schematic that we're going to choose to take the DWG, take the construction documents. And SITEOPS users, they typically go to clients for 4, 5, 6, 10 layouts, not 1 or 2. That's a big difference between the two softwares. CAD, you're limited by budget, time, and really just the effort you want to put into the design. In SITEOPS, you're really not limited to anything because you can do it in a fraction of the amount of time that you did before. So I'm going to just log into my account, do that, make it simpler, just actually mirror myself into it. And I'm going to go into a project area. But this is the opening area. This is where you get project names, which company controls the project, imperial or metric, those kind of things. But you want to see the tool. That's what we're here for. So let's go in, and I'm just going to start from scratch. And let's just come in here. Now, another big thing about being SaaS model software is you don't download, gigs and gigs worth of software and then have to worry about patches and updates and all kinds of things as they go forward. With SITEOPS, anytime you log in, you're using the latest and greatest version because in that little few seconds, I actually downloaded it, installed it, and opened it up. And the other thing is this is the user interface. This is pretty simple software. It's not CAD. It's not used to draw buildings and architectural features and car parts and bridges and things like that. It is a site planning tool. So everything is geared around that. It makes it a little simpler to design tools to make it faster for us to do site plans. Now, starting the project, you have a couple different options. If you have field ran data, you have topo boundaries, or maybe you have a layout that somebody else did, They want you to bring it in and grade it and get a lot of that. When people go, architect's already done it. They want me to go in and grade it, make sure it works, and if it don't work, then revise the layout to see what maybe could work. Well, SITEOPS gives you the ability to bring in any data you want. That's up to you as the user. And I'm going to show you another way in a minute called topo import, which allows me, if I only got maybe an address or an intersection, to work from that. But I can come in and do something simple, like, you know what, this is an existing topo. Maybe it's an Alta survey. There's my contours. I'm going to show you, and you'll see in a few minutes, that when you bring things into SITEOPS, it automatically knows what to do. For example, if I brought in contours, it automatically makes a surface. If I bring in break lines, it automatically affects the surface. It automatically goes in and starts thinking like a site designer would. And I can go all the way down, bring in all kind of information that's either existing or proposed, or if I don't even know anything, maybe again, it's architectural drawing. You get a lot of these where everything's more in numbers, or they're layers. I don't know what they mean. But if I could see it on the screen, I could figure it out. So I could bring it all in as reference. Again, that's what a lot of our users used to tell us. That's the thing, they were lucky to have something to start with. A lot of time, all they get is a parcel number, an intersection, an address. They find says, hey, before I spend one dime on it, what can I do here? How many lots can I have? Or how many square feet of a building plus parking? You know, what can I do on this site? As site designers, we want to deliver that result. We want to do it quick, fast, and at low cost for ourselves. Sometimes we don't even get paid for that. So we created a thing called topo import. It's one of the modules of SITEOPS. And I'm going to go here under geolocate. And I'm basically going to enter an address I just sort of looked at earlier this morning. Just figuring out where I'm going to do a site. Boulder Highway, Henderson, just outside of Las Vegas there. This is to the southeast. I don't know if anybody knows this site or not. But if I come in, I can actually start locating this site. I can look at an aerial imagery, and the one I'm going to look at is putting in a park and some old government facilities, some building, parking, roadways, those kind of things. We'll play along, and then I'll actually open up 10 or 15 minutes from now. I'll show you what I did in about an hour and 15 minutes to show you, again, when you spend time, like you would on any project, how it goes from a little bit to a whole lot. So let's say I want to grab some data for this area. I go to the top and I say select location. Once I say select location, it's basically going to geolocate that. What that means is it's going to put it on state plane coordinates. Now, the other thing we did with topo import is we work with Esri a lot. You can go out, and if you have local servers, you have your own, you maybe know where Cook County is, you can grab those, or you just go straight out to Esri and grab some of their data that's available. And when I do this, I really like this one. This is their world imagery. They're constantly now running satellites, doing their own data collection, and they let our users use it. So let's say I wanted to see what was happening beside of this property, right over in this area. I can actually zoom in, and I love this, and just let it sit for just a few seconds. And I'm actually going to get a higher depth image. So the more I zoom in, the better it is. So if I want to know what's happening on the adjoining property or on the property, I can see that. I think that's pretty cool, because now it allows me to get a better understanding of what's happening around my project, not just on. So I can zoom out. Let's go ahead. I'm going to grab a quick snapshot of that, just so I can move things around a little easier in a second. So let's take a boundary. Again, if I know meets and bounds, if I have a file to bring in, let's see here. Let's just go in, maybe do something like this. Come down this line, go across the front. Let's just say we're going to use this. So another question is, what can we do on here? How much park facilities can we put in? How much buildings, things like that. If I'm the client, and I ask you to draw me a building with 400 parking spaces, how long would it might take you to draw the parking lot and label and count and do things like that?
A couple hours.
A couple hours?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's normal. And that's what pretty much everybody tells me in the CAD world. That's what it would take me. And that's where we thought about when we started creating SITEOPS. You know what? That's with the new technology. That's what's wrong. It's more about, again, delivering clients options by looking at things. So I drew a parking area. Now, again, if I did this in CAD, it'd be just the 4 lines that would make probably a polyline on the layer called parking. SITEOPS is sort of the same thing. But on the right, there's an additional piece to it. It's an area. Now, I've made it intelligent. I've told it my default property is 9 by 18 parking spaces, 24-foot drive aisle. What are my slopes for grading? 1 to 4%. What is my material type? What is the thickness of that material? When I grade, I want to grade the subgrade. And we're going to try to build, we're going to design just like you would build in the real world. But the biggest thing I got to do is I got to create the 400 parking spaces. Take that image down a little bit. The three little buttons on the left that I'm sort of highlighting, this is the difference. This is what's going to change the way you do design. Because I'm going to click on the first far left one. This is the layout solver. And I'll give it 2 or 3 seconds. Now, I did say 400, right? Go over here to the right and change that. Okay, 400. But what if I don't like the way it looks? Change it, drag it. Doesn't matter. SITEOPS don't care. It's your design. All it wants to do is help you go in and move things around quickly to create, maybe only 200-foot radius on this to create a different design. Let's bring in a building, just a quick little building. Maybe, 100 by 200, something small. Again, if we look on the right, the building has different properties, just like a building should. Do I want it to control parking? Maybe I got to set a minimum FFE because I have a flood issue or I have some kind of drainage to deal with. But what if I move the building into the parking lot? Parking spaces move automatically. And understand, we don't typically put a car in the lobby of a building. Move it around, change it, it doesn't matter. The system knows how to react between different pieces. So I do want to show you that you do have a lot of control inside these models. So we'll go through some of the tools just to play around. But I want to show you things like this parking lot. What if you go, that ain't configuration. The client wants something different. Like they want angle parking spaces. There we go. Go to the right and, again, just simply change what you want to do. You want to change the parking direction. Let's go straight into the building, perpendicular. You got some tools that look caddish. You still have to draw. Let's add parking and sidewalks to the front of the building. Again, not that big a deal. I can just move that line around, add things over here on the left for parking. We can deal with, how we do a handicap point, how we deal with parking bays. A lot of people love these. Maybe I want some 10-foot landscaping in that area. And then let's just come into a simple drive. And then we'll go back and look at some more tools in a second. Because let's just say this is, right now, this is what the client wants. We want a simple little building with some parking. Okay. We delivered that to the client. Now the client's got one more question, right? What does it cost? Turn off this contour. I forgot to go get contour data. We give you the ability to go do that as well. You can bring your own in, or I may go out to Esri, I may just want to go say, just grab it from the USGS right now. Just grab me something quick to work with. And it's going to go out and going to grab the data, create a surface, create contours, then I have to control the contours, what intervals do I want to show. Go in here and I can see now I have existing contours. So let's grade that again. Now when I go into grade, I'm going to swing this around. And there we go. Biggest thing what you look at first is not the image. I want you to look in the lower right-hand corner. I'm not doing one grading plan or two. SITEOPS is running through a couple thousand. It's looking at what is the best way, based on my slopes, my material thickness, all my constraints, what is the best way to grade this site? And I can see that red is cut, blue is filled, yellow means very little to no elevation change. It's only grading what it has to do. I can come in and look at my contours. It's taking care of the island. Dealing, if I had slope away on the building, things like that, I can do it. And I'll show you a little more roadways in a second that you can come in and get very in detail. But this is what the client wants to know. Can it work? How much it cost? And if they only got $400,000 to spend on site work, he's got to figure out how to get the other 32, but they would need to know that. Now, in SITEOPS, this is a quick little answer. And then if he doesn't like it and he want to move it on site or change it, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's go in. Let's get rid of this. And let's go back and let's actually make this site look a little more what I was intending to do. All right, so let's do a park. If you think about a baseball field, if I sit there and drew up a Little League baseball field, it's the same all over the country. If you want to build it to standard, they have their rules. If I want to build a college-level league or a softball, they have rules. Soccer fields as well. So once you create something, sort of like I did the building and parking, you can actually save that. And let's say, for example, I'm going to start this up. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to bring in a little baseball complex. This is something you see, I know, probably every city in America. You got some softball, you got some Little League, you got it around a focal point right in the middle. As you can see, I got some building. I'm going to explain in a minute what some of that yellow is. And that yellow is orange. That's some cool grading things we can do. But earlier, when I graded the parking lot, the building, and the driveway, I sort of let SITEOPS say, 1 to 4%, you grade the way you want to. Come up with the cheapest option. Well, we know we grade fields, for example. Have to have a pitcher's mound, can't be in a hole. So we got to be able to tell it. Let's bring in some soccer fields. And you can bring in, you see, in mine, I have tons and tons of things that I've saved throughout the years of going in and saying, pretty much anytime I did something, I saved it. Give you an example, I'll show you a little bit. I actually did a splash park in this. First time I did a splash park in one of my drawings, so I actually saved it. It's called Splash. I thought it would look pretty neat to do a splash park. But let's just say I've dropped the field in. Let's just do some parking. Let me turn on one of my snaps called Dynamic. And let's do a parking lot real quick. And I'm going to do some roads. I want to show you some cool things we can do with the roadways. Make sure that I'm on 90. Bring this over. And let's close that path. Start it up. There we go. There's 400 or 500 parking spaces. Maybe I don't want it to look like that. Let's come in and do this. Let's say I do want that parking bay again. Let's say I want a nice pretty one right down the middle. Let's do a parking bay. I want to drop it in this line. I want it to be 10 feet. And let's come in and start squeezing some things down. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. Now I'm going to come in and do a parking path. And we're going to make this look exactly like I want it. And we're going to do it here, like I said, and this may be what I have, 30 seconds into this, maybe a minute at the most. And then I got a parking lot. And that's the beauty of SITEOPS. And if I do something where maybe I move an area over, where all of a sudden now you see parking spaces go away because it understands that I have to have a drive aisle, so therefore it changes it. So it's, again, it's an intelligent area as well. So when I move things around, again, you can do offset, trim, and fill it, and be exact, or you can just draw things like this, just as I'm doing here. So let's go up. Let me just fix that again. I am an engineer, so I like things to look correct. Let's look at some roadways real quick. I want to show this. Because roadways have a lot of intelligence inside of them. For example, if we did a street inside SITEOPS, just like a 35-mile-an-hour road, you know, I don't cross parking lots with 35-mile-an-hour roads. That is just, that's not sound. That's not how we do things. Okay? So picture if I had a big park or something like an industrial park, you see a lot of that where they're trying to maximize areas. They use streets so that parking cannot cross each other and they know how things are done. But if I want to do, let's open this up just 2 seconds. Say I had a big parking lot, like a shopping center or a hospital, and I want to do a car drive, where I want it to be part of my design. Zoom in a little bit there. I can actually do that. And now if I come in and change and move, everything will automatically update as I'm making changes to my project. So let's take that back. There we go. And let's do a street. Maybe I'm just going to take one from one side to the other. Just do something simple for now. Take a street, do a car drive. Excuse me, I'm just going to tie into the existing ground here. Let's come up. I don't know, maybe just do something like this for now. Now, when you go to do roadways, you have a lot of control inside of this area as well. So I picked on the center line of a road, so I can go over here to the right, and I can say roadways. And at this point, I can tell, do I have single lane, multi-lane, do I have a median, do I not? And I'm actually going to show you how I'm going to change along the road to have different scenarios happening. You know, I can come in, let's just say, for example, 1 to 7% low right. That's my center line slope. Let's come in with 3.13% if I cross lane, 3.13. I can simply come in and do that. Let's do a quick little tie-in drive. Street, car drive. I can just come off the middle of this point, perpendicular to the roadway. That quick, I'm done with a drive. And again, I can set constraints there as well. What if I want to go to the front and I want to do a median that came in for a certain distance? Then it tapered down, maybe back at the property line they wanted a median. So let's come in and let's change things. And I can come in and do things like, what if I want bigger radiuses? That's not a problem. Let's come in and let's say I know I'm going to put a 20-foot median, so I'm going to need 22-foot wide road. And then back here, I'm going to tell this part of the roadway. Let's just go in, maybe not the whole thing. For now, let's just take this section. Say I want a 20-foot median. And if we zoom in, you're going to now see a median. We got the roadway. We got the different level controls and changes. But what if I don't see how this little action in the background? Again, it's very simple to come in and start manipulating things. So in that section, I don't want any median again. I want to come in and let's make it 22 feet. And I want to go back to this point and maybe let's just put a transition in. Something simple. There we go. Now I got a simple little transition. And I could put sidewalks on this. I'm going to show you something a little different in a minute. When I do the sidewalks, we'll come in and show that. But so far, we're going at it. Let's just see here. I'm going to just draw one quick drive. Let's come up to here, to there. Let's just draw that drive. I'm going to go to the end point. So no radiuses. Just want to link all that together. So let's just say right now, I'm curious as to what does this project cost? What is it going to start costing to build? Just what we've done so far. Again, remember, at any time, hit that grading button. Come over here and we're going to let it grade up. Give it a second. And now if I look in here, now you're going to see different colors. Well, I mean, same colors, but more severe because these are ball fields. They're more controlled. Red is cut, and blue is filled. But if I turn on the contours, see how, for example, in the baseball field, it's forming the pitcher's mound. It's coming in. It's looking at the roadway. Look where the roadway is with the median. It's got my nice M's, just like I would expect. Again, I can control K values for vertical curves and things like that. The parking is grading, taking into account that base. It's in the middle of the soccer field. And I'm actually doing, not again, a 2D design, I'm doing a 3D design. But the best part is I don't have to do anything to click a button to see how this site plan is starting to look. Use another template that I created just while I was playing around. Is I went out to SketchUp. You can go out to SketchUp. I'm not sure how many of y'all use SketchUp. It's a pretty neat little tool that Trimble owns. There's a free version and a paid version. Oh, open on my other screen. Give it 1 second. I'll open it up. But I can go out there and grab, whether it's trees, cars, people, buildings, doesn't matter. Go out and grab the model out of their warehouse. Where's the warehouse? There it is. And if I want to come in and grab a tree, I can grab a tree. And you can grab that and bring it into SITEOPS. So I found a building that I like. I went out and grabbed it, and I saved it. So if I go to my templates, for example, and go to City Hall, there's City Hall. Now, the beauty is I've assigned the building pad to it, so it knows how to grade already. It knows how to come in. All I got to do is drop it in, and then rotate it in the right direction that I might want. So let's just, while it's coming in, if I remember correctly, I'm going to go off my memory. I've only looked at this once. I do believe I want it somewhere about like that. Let's come into a quick parking lot while it's getting ready. And I'll just come in and start drawing something. And we'll close it, start at the solver, and then let's start manipulating this to get a design that I want. And you can see, for example, there's the floor plan to the building. So it's actually showing the building. Just so, and we do have little things like, I want to take the building and I want to make it, let's just do offset of 0. Make it easy. I want to line it up to the back of the parking, for example. But then I want to come up and just do different things. Like maybe I want to come across here. Again, you do have that control. Let's say I want no parking to the rear. That's going to be more ingress, egress, those kind of things. I don't like the way the parking's starting to look. Let's go in. And we'll just shift this across. Bring this one down. As you notice, as I move and change and control and do different things, we'll just do something simple real quick. Let's come in and do another roadway. I just want to grab one. We'll bring it in. Maybe we'll swing it up and we'll just do it across here for now. Just to give you an idea. Let's come in, put my points. Want to put a radius on there. We're going to make sure fire trucks can get in. But let's go under the roadway and let's do a little bit different sections. When I did the road before, I came in and sort of manually told it I wanted lanes to be a certain distance, certain things like that. But as most of us know, in a lot of municipalities, rules are already set up for us on how roadways look. Minor roads, locals, collectors, boulevards. So let's say I want to, again, this is a town I play with a lot out here where we live in North Carolina. You can set these up. Do I have curb? Are they curb and gutter or are they ditch streets? What are my widths? Do I have sidewalk? Do I not? Hit apply. And now you'll see that magenta come in on the side. It already added my sidewalk. On the side, it said what requirements. It already did all that work for me. Because I saved that as a template. I already knew what to do. Again, those are kind of things that you get on as a SITEOPS user. It literally just takes you maybe an afternoon to sit down and create some of these, and you got them forever. So I can come in, let's do this. And again, very simple. I've added something. Let's go ahead and add a pond. You can add stormwater. Let's go shoot a few more tools before I start doing things. Now again, software, it doesn't care if it's a dry pond or wet pond. That's ultimately up to you as designer. What is my inlet controls? What's my size? Do I need to size this pond based on target surface, target volume? Again, all those things I can start doing very simply. Again, streets, we have different things. Here's one. Maybe I want to put a sidewalk not like the one that's on the side of the road. Maybe I want to come off from this region. I just want to come in, we'll just do something quick, bring a sidewalk around. Maybe I just want to loop it around the site. Something like that. And if I come in, do all points, maybe give it a radius of 100 on all the points, or again, I can do them individually. But even little things, again, it's intelligent. It knows that when I cross a street with a sidewalk, the road will still take control. So it actually will cut the things out for you. I can come in and deal with easements. So if we do have things like watershed, environmental issues, things that you might have to stay out of, maybe we got a little section on the side of this parking lot, and the client's trying to determine, is this work going through permitting to get rid of, or is it not? You know, what does it look with or without it? What does it cost to disturb it or not? Again, we give you the tools to come in and help make those quick decisions. Deal with things like geotech, put in boring things. If you got rock, contaminated, unsuitable soils, identify them. So the software knows how to deal with those different scenarios. Because again, once you set the model up, you want to hit the grading button, and you want to start seeing what it costs. So now, just in 15, 20 minutes while I was talking, if this was something that we were wanting to do, we may be already halfway through the project. And you can see that we now can come in. I've got my pond being graded in. I got my building, my roadways, turn on some contours. We can now start looking at this project and start getting a better idea, because, again, if the budget's off, it's not in the right way, if it's still not meeting what they want, it can be the most beautiful plan in the world. But if it don't meet the needs and work economically, that's all it is, a pretty plan. It doesn't meet anything else. So as you can see, I can do that. So let's close this down for a second. I'm going to save it. I'm going to open one up where I've actually spent a little more time. I've got some basketball courts and a splash area, and I want to show you just a few more features. But I also want to talk definitely about the outputs, because a lot of people always want to know, this is great, you've done it in SITEOPS, but I still do my construction documents in Civil 3D or Land Desktop or GeoPack or Inroads, and how do I get out to that level? So I'm going to close this real quick, open another one up, and then we'll talk about how do we go out to the outputs. So let's go in here and let's grab this one. And let's just let this open. It'll take just a second, just because, again, it's bringing in, think about it, bringing in a pretty good little bit of data.
How often do you guys update the RS means values in the system?
We only do it once a year, and actually we do it just on a national number. So most of our users will do it, but you can change those in Sable. They're not set in stone, so you can change those for, like, especially if all of your work is in the Nevada area, change it for your own, thinking of for your local area. Keep it your way. So here's the layout I did where I took about an hour into it. And you're going to see little things, like this is one a lot of people love. I brought in trees. I brought them in as blocks. But what I also did was actually just toe the line. Let's fire this solver up. And I'm going to let it just go. If I come in and change something, like maybe I don't want this line of trees to be as long, if I change it, I'll do this slow so you see it go to medium. Because I told the line every 50 feet I wanted a date palm, I think is what this is. As I move it, it'll move, but so will my count. And that's important if the count changes. So I'm going to show you these trees over here, for example. This is a maple. I've already added this to my budget. Because remember in the lower right-hand corner, we had a budget showing cut and fill, retaining walls, paving, and all that. That's a cute little budget. But there's going to be a bigger one in a minute that you're going to see. And we can add custom items. So like I added trees, and everywhere I added that maple tree, I told it let's look at the budget. I told it costs so much per thing. I want a category called landscaping, an item called maple tree. There's 79 of them on this site, and there's $150 a piece. There's $12,000. A lot of times, little things like that get missed out of budgets, or they get. They do different scenarios. You can see I got some curb parking, and there's my little splash pad area in the middle, some basketball courts, and the sidewalks. You can actually link those tree lines to the sidewalk. So if you change the sidewalk, they'll change for you. And, every 500 feet, I want a park bench. The park bench costs so much. So if I hit the grading plan here, we're going to say let it grade. I would love to have given my clients a lot of 3D output. Cool visualizations and, what does the ball field in the park, and be able to sit down on the edge of the building and look out and see how the parking lot looks with trees and cars and people and make a little movie. But that's hard in the site world. It's easier when it's building. It's a whole lot harder when it's site planning. Just because the models become insanely big, it's hard to move things. And God forbid if they wanted to raise the building a foot, which would affect the sidewalk, would affect the parking lot, then I got to remove all the trees and cars. Inside SITEOPS, you set those 3D objects. If I move that building, building moves. Sidewalk moves, the parking lot moves, all the trees, the cars, everything moves and resets itself back on the surface. So if I want to see this site in 3 dimensions, I want to go to SketchUp. And here's what I like about it. Is, again, we know what you want to do with it. Once I tell it, I want to bring in my blocks for my building and my splash pad and my fields. I just want to set back. When you use this software, we're going to create a 3D model that's going to be a real 3D model. You'll see the pieces coming into this SketchUp model here. You're going to be able to see the trees actually go down and around with the sidewalk. You're going to be able to see certain different components of the site plan. Again, I'm the setback. So think about most people when they show site plans in 3D with the trees and the building. The site plan is pretty flat, but that's great when that's all you can do. But if I could actually sit there and say, all right, one ball field drops below another, and the building sits so far above the pond, different things like that, and be able to look at it 3-dimensionally. That's how you get stakeholders excited. That's the kind of things, we have clients that users, not clients, users of SITEOPS go to their clients and do this is what we're doing right in front. And picture 30 minutes to an hour, you're sitting down with maybe the planners here in Henderson, and they just want to get a rough idea of what it looks like. I mean, look at those trees. They're going down the hill, back up, everything. Ball fields, you can see they're sort of disappearing behind each other. Just let this pop up in a second. It's a lot of information. The neat thing is, I'm going to be able to show them a 3D model. Let this come out.